Well, hello there, everybody. How are we doing today? Hopefully, you're all doing absolutely peachy keen fantastic. It's time for another cat sermon. And today, I just decided to just kind of look at this little random area here with the crab, because I like crab. I think they're cool. And, all animals are cool because they're all Makali, so that means they're all cool. I also just kind of like this area. So, I figured why not. Anyway, let's go ahead and face up towards that castle there, and we'll use that as a focusing point. Okay? And we're going to start with a prayer as per usual. O sweet Divine Mother, please guide us. Guide us so that we may always remember you, thank you, and perfect our worship of you. Guide us so that we may see you in all beings. Guide us that every misery we have may be turned to joy in your presence. Guide us so that we may always be filled with joy. Guide us so that we may see the face of Christ in everyone who passes by and hear the flute of Krishna in everyone's voice. Oh, sweet Divine Mother, please guide us. Guide us from the unreal to the real. Guide us from darkness unto light. Guide us from death to immortality. Guide us so that we may always come back to the present moment and we may always be filled with joy in that moment. Thank you, Ma, for everything you have given us. Please guide us. Please let us feel your love. Om Krim Hakali Kali Namaha. Okie dokie. There's a lot of really great religious texts out there that have some really fun stuff in them, and I have an interesting relationship with Sikhism in that I really like Guru Nanak, and I've read a good portion of the Guru Granth Sahib, but beyond that, I don't actually know that much about most of the other gurus. I know a little bit. I know stories here and there, but like not a terribly large amount. However, occasionally I will revisit it because I think Guru Nanak, when he talks about the fact that there is, no Muslim and no Hindu, we're all, one, we're all of God. I think that that's really, really awesome, and I really, really vibe with that. And I was revisiting the Guru Granth Sahib, and I really like this particular quote I found. Even kings and emperors with heaps of wealth and vast dominion cannot compare with an ant filled with the love of God. I really think that's very true. You meet so many people in the world. You wander around, you meet people who maybe they're famous, maybe they're rich, maybe they're just kind of crazy, maybe they're, neither, maybe they're perfectly average. But ultimately, the people that you should be trying to fill or get closer to as much as you can, fill your life with, are people who are going to encourage you on the spiritual path and are not necessarily bad for you on the spiritual path. Does that mean that you should only surround yourself with spiritual people? Well, no. But sometimes it's really good to have a little bit of backup and have other people that you can rely on. Now, look, not everybody you meet is going to be spiritual. I have friends who are not super spiritual. I'm not going to abandon them. But sometimes you got to be willing to look at the things that you're doing with those people and see if it's harming you and harming you spiritually, or if it's helping you grow. Hey, you can still hang out with people, but if every day they want to hang out and they want to go to a bar or something like that and, drink, that might not be the best for your spiritual path. That doesn't mean you can't do other things with them, but, it's really good, and you have to make sure that you help yourself in all these regards. And sometimes it's really good to think of yourself as a fortress, but a fortress, I think, has too many kind of implications of violence and things like that. Sometimes it's better to just think of things as a house, specifically your thoughts as guests visiting a house. You can let them come in and let them do their thing, but you don't serve them tea, you have them go out the back door. Or the front door, Like the idea is that they go just straight through the house. You don't have to worry about them. But I always think it's weird to be like, oh no, you make them go through the back door. It's like they came in through the front door, and then you're like, wait a minute, no, back door. But you get what I mean. You gotta let your thoughts come and go, and sometimes it can be really good to see what are the influences around you, what are the people around you doing, and what are they trying to get, or what are they doing on a regular basis that really affects you. And I think there's another good quote here, which is, "Oh man, grasp this truth firmly in your soul. The whole world is just like a dream. It will pass away in an instant." And this is also true. You got to think, if you're constantly pursuing wealth, and maybe your family or the people around you are always pursuing wealth, and that's just the thing they do. And hey, I understand in this world, you kind of do that sometimes. It's whatever. But you have to know that everything will pass, and that anything that you're dealing with, no matter how difficult, will pass. And that what you should really be doing is trying to fill your life with the love of God and trying to get those other people around you to hopefully embrace the love of God, but also don't be too forceful. Just, talk to them occasionally. And if they're not interested, you shouldn't think anything less of them. That's simply God in the form of someone who's not a spiritual seeker at the moment. Not a mean Jimmy Dean. And it's also important to remember this quote from Ramakrishna, which is, if you meditate on your ideal, you will acquire its nature. If you think of God day and night, you will acquire the nature of God. So, what you should do is meditate on God as often as you can, pray to God and pray for her love as often as you can, and remember that even though there are people around you who may not necessarily be the best influences, they are still children of God and they still deserve love and they still deserve happiness. But at the same time, sometimes for your own sake, you need to be able to step away from things, or at least not get quite as involved in them. You don't have to run away to a monastery or anything like that. But, at least occasionally examine what's going on around you, examine the spots you're putting yourself in, and examine whether or not they are beneficial in your spiritual path, or if they're holding you back. Okie dokie artichoke? Well, that's kind of the main thing I wanted to share today. But I have one more quote that I just really like. And this is also from the Guru Granth Sahib. Let mercy be your mosque, faith your prayer mat, and honest living your Quran. Make modesty your circumcision, and good conduct your fast. In this way, you shall be a true Muslim. Let good conduct be your Kaaba, truth your spiritual guide, and the karma of good deeds your prayer and chant. Let your rosary be that which is pleasing to his will. I really like that one. I think that one's really neat. There's also this one. O my mind, remember always the dear Lord. At the very last moment, he alone shall be your best friend. He shall always stand by you. I think that these are really good and little things that we should remember. So remember, try to encourage spiritual things in your life, but that also doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the church or mosque or whatever. Every moment you should basically consider yourself in that holy communion with God, because you're always in communion with God. Sometimes you feel it more, sometimes you feel it less. And if you're at a spot where you can't feel it all the time, sometimes it's good to take a step back from the things that are kind of preventing you from feeling it more often. Okie dokie artichoke? Okay, we're going to end with a short little prayer. O sweet Divine Mother, please purify our minds and purify our hearts. Let us always come back to you, and let us always be magnanimous. Let us always be humble, and let us always fill our lives with mercy and love, and let us always treat those around us with goodwill. Please, O Divine Mother, guide us. Guide us from the unreal to the real. Guide us from darkness unto light, and guide us from death to immortality. Let us feel the ocean of your bliss. Om Kri Mahakali Kali Namaha. Okie dokie. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say for right now, so I hope that you all have an absolutely wonderful day, and I hope that you know that I love you, and God loves you, and bye-bye, I love you, bye. Have a great one.